a woman has 100% control over whether she can make a man a father or not, do you feel like a man should have a say so in whether or not a woman aborts his baby?
Yeah,
You think he should?
sure. He could have all the says.
But
Right. Exactly.
but at the end of the day, you get the final word, right?
Absolutely.
So if a man does not want to be a father and you make him a father, should the man have a right to not financially be liable for that child?
Should he have the right to not be financially responsible for the child? No.
First off, I hate these types of conversations because logically it makes absolutely no sense. It's so backwards what she just said. But then morally, it's a whole nother story. So let me just deal with it this way. You realize you're talking about a life, right? You're talking about a life, right? That you are creating. You created the life, and that's what you're talking about. You realize that, right? So here's my thing with it, okay? These decisions should be made before you ever sleep with a person. Seriously, as men, if you cannot see her as a mother figure to your child, or she doesn't have the qualities to raise your future self, you should not lay with her because you know what can happen from that sacred act. If you see that she has qualities of a mother, okay, now you shouldn't sleep with her unless you've had discussions with her about family, how she sees raising family, her religious views, things like that, because this is very important when raising your future self. You shouldn't just be sleeping with somebody because they're fine or you're horny. Now, if she has your child and you don't want to have a child with her because of her character, because of who she is, or because you're not ready as a man, whatever the case may be, then you are in betrayal of that sacred act. Because now you're going to be asking someone to abort a baby, which is your responsibility because it came through that sacred act. But she's no better than you. She laid down with you too, not wanting you to be a father, not wanting to be a mother. But yet they want to feel sex. But that's a sacred act. They're not negotiating how they do this thing like an adult would. They're not doing that. They're acting like kids. They just say, I want to feel good. So let's just lay down and do it. Now that you're pregnant, now here's these discussions. I want to have the baby. I don't want you to have the baby. Well, I don't want to have this baby. Well, honey, I want you to carry this baby. I want a baby. And now autonomy. She has a right to have this baby, right? Okay, cool. And she feels that she has a right to have it whether or not you want it. You get that, right? And the sacred act only lasts a little while, correct? Okay, but on the flip side, that same sacred act would make a man responsible for a child for 18 years or longer if she decides to keep it. Now, logically, it makes no sense. But morally, there's a child here born that will have a mother and father. And if it doesn't have a mother and father who interacts in its life, it would ruin its life and break it down. And we've seen this happen plenty of times. So that's why I hate these conversations. But you know what always tripped me out, though? How socially, we shame men for not fathering their children. We call them deadbeats and such. But we don't shame women for aborting their children. And I often ask myself, what's worse, abandoning a child or aborting one? Difficult question, right? Because it sounds egregious either way. But you notice how we'll say, you're a deadbeat father. Take care of your children, take care of your children. And of course, we're going to say this because the child is still here. You have an opportunity to still yet take care of the child. And the fact that you're not taking that opportunity, just going to give us more grounds to just say, hey, more insults, right? More shame. But when she aborts the child, it's done and over with. The child is not here to complain. The child is not here to need its mother. It's not here to have a bad day. It's not here to have a sunny day. It's not here to fail or succeed. I think that's worse. I think that when you abort a child, you don't give it an opportunity to even know what a father is or a mother is, to even feel like they were abandoned. You don't give them an opportunity to have a happy life or a sad one. But we have none of this. We don't do any of this when it comes to women who abort their babies. That's always tripped me out. Weird world. Oh, and don't get me wrong. There are several men who ask women to abort babies and pay money to help abort the baby that they didn't want. So it's like a whole conspiracy, right? We can all just seek self-satisfaction, self-pleasure, and if a baby comes, hey, abort it. We don't care that it's a life. We'll argue that it isn't a life. Bill Burr said that it's almost like someone going into your oven and taking your cake batter out and throwing it in the floor, right? And you go, "Why did you destroy my cake?" And they go, "It wasn't a cake yet." I'm like, well, it was gonna be if you had left it alone. It's like to eat the spell that you're about to say to argue that it's not a life yet. I don't even want to hear it. I don't even want to hear the spell. I don't want to hear the rhetoric that explains why that's not a life. I don't. I don't. Sometimes I feel like get me out of here because I see a world full of just people doing what they want to do and then complain about the community and the environment they live in like they're not creating it with their daily actions. It's wild.